Okay, so I was using this app, and I guess, I don't know, I'm not for sure, but it cut me off. So I'm just going to start off, but I do got to get to, heck, now I forgot what I was saying. Do y'all hate that? Oh, so what I was just basically saying in the last video is that what she feared the most, my grandmother felt like she could, she could, she thought she was protect me, so they didn't understand that, like, I was just calling and calling and calling, and I was young. And so at that moment, this allowed the enemy to come in, because sometimes people will tolerate you because they're loneliness. They don't pretty much want you there. And I'm not saying my grandmother didn't want me there, because she loved me, but my grandmother was very selfish, so she was really looking out for the benefit of how she felt. And it's crazy how people will make you think that when they're making decisions that they're making it because they love you so much. And it's really is because they love themselves so much. But they'll make you think that way. So that's why we really just need the spirit of discernment, and we need to know ourselves to know where they going with that. Like, exactly. Sometimes we don't know, but sometimes we can kind of tell by their behaviors of um, what the underlining purpose of it is. We just got to just watch people and observe them. You can just tell. I mean, the fruit don't lie. Rotten fruit don't lie. Fruit that's like almost dead don't lie. I mean, it just don't lie. So, I mean, sometimes we don't want to just be honest and transparent, but fruit just don't lie. Uh, um, you can say that you love God all you want to, and you can even quote the scriptures. Like I told you, I'm not good at telling y'all it's Genesis 101, but what you got to understand is that I'm going to be kind, and I'm going to be loving towards you, and I'm going to be forgiving towards you. So those are my fruit. Now, just because I forgive you don't mean that you have to be in my presence all the time either. Sometimes we get that confused. Sometimes that you have not, I can forgive you and I can love you at the same time, but that doesn't mean that I won't, you need to interrupt my peace. So I'm going to leave that to that. But I'm doing this in segment, y'all. And like I said, we're reading from Offered Up to Be Set Apart, When Love Choose You, Victory is Assured. And you can actually get this on Amazon. And we're also reading from the Tony Evans Study Bible. Listen, y'all, I didn't ask him for permission to read his Bible or online. I don't even know if I'm gonna be in trouble, but I just love his Bible. I love how when he dissected, it's from a kingdom perspective. Like I said, I did most of my reading and understanding who God was through Dr. Miles Monroe, which he comes from a kingdom perspective, and it just made all the sense in the world. So I'm still in chapter John, and we're in chapter 1, and it's verse number 19, and it says, John the Baptist's testimony. This was John's testimony when the Jews from Jerusalem sent priests and the Levites to ask him, "Who are you?" He didn't deny it, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." "What then?" they asked him. "Are you Elijah?" "I am not," he said. "Are you a prophet?" He said, "No." He said, "Who are you then?" they asked. "We need to give an answer to those who send us. What can you tell us about yourself?" He said, "I am the voice of the one crying out in the wilderness, 'Make straight the way of the Lord,' just as Isaiah the prophet said." Now they had been sent from the Pharisees, so they asked him, "Why then do you baptize if you aren't the Messiah and Elijah or a prophet?" "I baptize with water," John answered them. "Someone stands among you, but you do not know him. He is the one coming after me, whose sandal straps I'm not worthy to untie." All this happened in Bethany, across the Jordan, where John was baptizing. And so I want to go and read this part, because it said, it stuck out to me. And it says, the Levites asked him, "Who are you?" And so I want to ask you, who are you? And the study part of the Bible, it says, John had been preaching and baptizing, so they wondered if he thought he was the Messiah, the coming king foretold in the scripture. It says they were referring to the prophecy that Elijah would return. See Malachi 4:5-6. The prophet was a reference to Moses' prophecy that God will raise up a great prophet like him. The Lord, the word Lord in the quotation refers to God, thus identify the deity of Jesus. Untying the sandals was the most minimal job of a slave. So they asked John, they said, "Who are you?" And then he said, "I'm not a prophet. I'm not the Messiah." He said, "But I'm the one that goes before him, that cries out into the wilderness," right? And then he says that I'm not worth it to untie his sandals. And and so the commentary, or not the commentary, the study note says that that was the lowest job that a slave can have. And I want to ask you a question before I get into this book. Who are you? And who are you can be a lesson in a journey. It's not a lesson. It is what is it called? It's a journey it's a journey with a lot of courses to get to the understanding of who you are. I don't think that until we're standing before God and we leave this earth, I think that we'll have an understanding of the collectively of who we are individually and as a kingdom and as a people, right? I think that every day it is being revealed to you and to me who we are. Who are you? So in page number 4, it says, "By the time I was 13 of age, I hadn't been raised by anyone specifically. I grew up to model what I saw. My mom was a church worshiper, respectful, kind, timid, passive in her ways and giving. My oldest aunt, the oldest of my mom's siblings, she was a respectful mother figure to all the family. She was genuine, full of wisdom, hardworking, well-traveled, carried herself with dignity. Next to the youngest aunt, she was aggressive, opinionated, boisterous, good with money, and trendy. All the women were good housekeepers. Even my grandmother was a good housekeeper. I just picked and chose what I wanted to model from each one of them. The only father figures I had at the time was my uncles, who were workaholics, and they treated me like their daughter, or the best way they could, right? All the adults, however, were caught up in their lives in the immediate responsibilities. So during my early adolescence, I often felt I wasn't anyone's first priority. I was literally doing whatever I wanted. I was driving in middle school. I moved around for a few years. I didn't have a curfew. And when I wasn't with immediate family, I would go over my cousin's house, whose mom was never at home because she was a nurse. So I'm going to put a pin in it right there. What I can say is that, you know how when you're going through your life and you see the things that God has brought you through and brought you to, you realize that what you used to see in one season as a bad thing, you realize that it needed to be that way. I am now about to turn 46, and I'm realizing that sometimes God won't allow people to raise you for him to raise you. And I want you to think about that. As I get older and I begin to look at the mannerisms of the behaviors of others, whether it's in my family or outside, and sometimes you can desire a thing, I realize that sometimes God needs you to be a blank slate so he can raise you and so he can train you the best way to be for you. A lot of me is me by the training and the lessons that God has taught me directly. It's not something that was given to me through like being up under like my aunties or uncles or nothing like that. It was pretty much God illuminating certain things in them and saying, hey, yeah, that's part of your purpose. Oh, that's what you need to learn, you know. And the things, he also showed me things of not to do. So sometimes we can desire a way of how we could have been raised. Like, oh, I wish I would have raised with this. Sometimes it's just how he needed it to be. Because when I got to the place where I was in my own apartment and I was doing my own things, he taught me a lot of things by myself. And sometimes God doesn't want nobody else to get the credit for you being you. I'm just going to leave you with that. Sometimes we can desire a thing and we want people to help us and we want people to do more for us, or coulda, woulda, shouldas. And sometimes God doesn't want anyone to take the credit for you being you. He wants to get the glory out of your life by himself. He wants you to have a sense of pride in who you are in him. Not a sense of pride where it's like malicious or you on a pedestal, but a sense of pride of you being a child of God, right? So I'm going to put a pin at it right there.